Nyangji Chimbo, Zuden Nyingma Lineage, Zongli Molam Chimbo, Ngabjata Bakartan, Santo Shimbo, Tumba Tukji Janla, Kibshan Tsar. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm so grateful to have this great opportunity. We're able to do this together in person and over Zoom. It's truly precious and fortunate. So I really appreciate your effort, your support, Buddha Dharma, and Sangha. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha cannot exist without each other. If there is no one to receive and hear the Dharma teachings, then there will no Buddha in the future. Therefore, Buddha established teachings and created Buddhist community called Sangha, because after he passed away, his Sangha continued to keep the Dharma teachings and live together as a community all over the India. So the Buddha definitely needs Sangha. And also without the Sangha, the Dharma is just books, right? Teaching volumes sitting on the shelf. So there must be a Sangha to receive and practice the teachings. So therefore, Buddha and Dharma need Sangha. Then of course, Sangha need Buddha and the Dharma. Without the presence of the Buddha and the Dharma, we're not a Sangha. We're just a group of people, right? But we are receiving the Dharma teachings from the Buddha, which is the essence of Buddha's heart, Buddha's wisdom. So we are listening to Buddha's heart, and we are following to his path. So therefore, we can call ourselves a Sangha, Buddhist Sangha. So therefore, these three, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha must be present for one of them to exist. That's what we call the three jewels. Very precious. That's why they are the essence of Buddhism. That's what we call Buddhism, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. So we really need each other in order to keep the Dharma teachings and in order to benefit other living beings. That's the Buddha's goal and motivation. Give teachings, and Sangha continue to keep the teachings and practice and then benefit each other. That is exactly what Buddha wants. So that's the best offer and best repay his kindness. So we're doing it. So anyway, today is the last day of the Bodhicarya Avatara offering retreat. So I would like to go through the, now we talked a little bit about first chapter, second chapter, third chapter. And today I would like to go through the six paramatas, which is the part of this teaching and the action bodhicitta practice. Now, we don't have time to go through each paramita in detailed explanation, but I can give you the main topics and each of the paramitas and how to practice the six paramitas. If you're ready to practice action bodhicitta, practice action aspiration bodhicitta and action bodhicitta. So we have to make effort. We have to act diligently, but that is the most difficult for us to do, which is a big obstacle. I became a Buddhist since I was 7 at a very early age. And I have spent my whole life studying Buddhism, but I'm still just ordinary person. So I have to think seriously and have to take my responsibility. Same to you. Many of you also became a Buddhist many years, which is really great. But the point is, I mentioned this yesterday, I think. The point is how long you become a Buddhist. That's not the point. The point is how much you changed your lifestyle and helped others, all that. So all of us, old students, new students, myself included, need to make as much effort as we can to practice and purify our negativities and stop creating new negative karma, create more positive actions. Seems like you're going to do that. Yesterday you said you're going to generate bodhicitta in your mind. That's really makes me so happy. And we're so fortunate and have a great opportunity to practice bodhicitta. Now, since we're talking about bodhicitta, you understand that the relative bodhicitta has two different types. These are you need to really understand, if you want to practice Buddhism. This topic is really huge, Gelug school, they study only the bodhicitta. There is a Tsongkhapa, Lama Tsongkhapa philosophy, Paramita, Paranjana Paramita. There is a section about only the bodhicitta, and they studied this section for 3 years. It's a very big topic, but I can tell you very easy way, so we have to understand the relative bodhicitta, ultimate bodhicitta. So relative bodhicitta has two different types, aspiration and action. Aspiration bodhicitta is based on compassion. That's the characteristic, the based on compassion. That means it focuses on the benefits of others, wishing good things for others. It desires or sentient beings to be free from suffering and to have happiness, all that. And it's mostly a state of our minds, right? It means it doesn't include activities. That's what we call aspiration bodhicitta. Then action bodhicitta is based on wisdom. Okay, that's a characteristic. While aspiration, again, bodhicitta based on compassion. Action bodhicitta is based on the wisdom. Based on wisdom, the action bodhicitta, it focuses on perfect enlightenment. So at this time, we need to do something to benefit others rather than just thinking, right? But aspiration bodhicitta is just thinking because we have to prepare before we act. Like this retreat, first we have to prepare everything, and then we get together, then we act, practice together, all that, right? It's kind of similar. When you have some compassion, then you prepare for your mind how to act, how to benefit others. That's aspiration, bodhicitta, preparation. And then when you're ready to act based on your wisdom, then you need to know how to act properly. You need a wisdom. Otherwise, we make mistakes without wisdom. So then this is you're doing something benefit rather than just thinking, you know? So these two different bodhicitta has two different benefits. So that's the definition of aspiration and action bodhicitta. So we need to understand these two different types of bodhicitta, and there are two different benefits, the cause and result. The great master Longchenpa is saying that the commitment to achieve the result of Buddhahood is the bodhicitta of aspiration. Because we are thinking, I want to free all these beings from the suffering of samsara and lead to them the Buddhahood. So bodhicitta and aspiration, there are so many arguments between these two things. It's just complicated, but easy way to explain to you, all of you, is based on my root teachers and my experience, this many years of study, I think I know it. So bodhicitta and aspiration focus on the result, which is enlightenment, right? That's the result, that's the definition. While the commitment to the cause, the bodhicitta of action, focus on the cause for enlightenment, which is the Mahayana path. We take that path. So you see here, aspiration and action bodhicitta teaches us how to realize great compassion for all sentient beings and how to realize the view of Buddha nature and how to let this view of Buddha nature reveal complete enlightenment. That is what Shantideva was teaching. The Bodhicharya Avatara is all about. Okay, so here we are talking about practice of action bodhicitta, right? So we prepared everything. The first chapter, second chapter, third chapter, we prepare aspiration bodhicitta. Now we hear, today I'm going to talk about the 6 paramatas, right? So when bodhisattvas think about action bodhicitta, they do whatever it takes to make this reality, you know? It's the actual practice of helping others through practicing the 6 paramatas. So therefore, I'm going to talk a little bit about the 6 paramatas. Each this Shantideva's chapter, I will as I told you, the summary of the benefit of Bodhicitta that I told you, that eighth stanza, that is the kind of like the summary. Each paramata has that kind of summary, so I will tell you that. So generally speaking, the 6 paramatas are explanation on how we practice action bodhicitta, okay? Now, just forget about the aspiration bodhicitta, we're done that. So, and the 5 paramatas, which are the practice of generosity, discipline, patience, diligence, meditation, meditative concentration, whatever you call it. These paramatas are considered practice of skillful means, okay? Tap shirp in Tibet, so important, these 2 skillful means and wisdom, right? So these paramatas, the 5 paramatas are considered practice of skillful means, okay? Tap. And then the wisdom paramita is the recognition of the Buddha nature on the view of profound emptiness. This is the hirap, tapshi, the wisdom, right? So in Buddhism, these 2 methods, the skillful means and wisdom, are very essential for Mahayana, especially Mahayana Buddhist practitioners. Tapshirap. So tap means skillful means. Skillful means is to deliver the right teachings to a student in the most effective manner, right? For example, if I teach all of you the way I taught in Tibetan, doesn't work. Okay, I need skillful means how to, in order to do that, I need to understand your culture, I need to understand your personality, all of that. That's what we call skillful means, tap, you know. Then, you know, like, it works, right? So it works. If you have this kind of methods, you know. So skillful means is one reason why there are 6 paramitas, right? And also why there are many different kinds of teachings in Buddhism, right? Even though they all have the same goal, right? Which is the Buddhahood, which is the enlightenment. Mahayana, Hinayana, Vajrayana, all, they have the same goal, but there are so many different teachings, different way to get there. That is what we call skill. Buddha is so skillful, right? So he gave us so many different teachings for reach same goal, which is enlightenment. So therefore, it's necessary. Like we have different kinds of religion, right? It's necessary. We need all different kinds of things like that. And then the wisdom is the ability to make good judgments based on what you have learned from your experience. And wisdom is also realizing or perceiving the true nature of reality, seeing things as they are, not as they appear, right? So the great wisdom is not just an intellectual understanding, but it must be developed through studying, contemplating, meditating. These 3 we call 3 wisdoms. Wisdom of studying, wisdom of contemplating, wisdom meditating. So therefore, skillful means tap and wisdom sherab. These 2 methods are very important if we want to practice unmistakably, you know. So they're not just only for spiritual practice, but they are also very important in our worldly sort of day-to-day life. Furthermore, practicing the first 5 paramatas, generosity, discipline, patience, diligence, meditation, gathers the accumulation of merit, okay? And then practicing the paramata of wisdom gathers the accumulation of wisdom, right? So 2 accumulations, accumulation of merit, accumulation of wisdom. These 2 accumulations are so important in order to develop genuine bodhicitta in our mind. So there are 2 accumulations in Buddhism, the accumulation of merit with sort of concepts such as practice and generosity, discipline, and so on. And then accumulation of wisdom beyond concepts, right? Such as practice in emptiness, the Buddha nature, the Dzogchen practice, the Mahamudra practice, all of that. So that is accumulation of wisdom. Of course, as you know, these 2 accumulations are also important in order to develop bodhicitta. So now there is one thing I have to make clear for you. You may think that there are not 6 paramatas in this Shantandeva's teaching, the way of bodhisattva. You might think that. Where is the paramata of generosity? Where is the paramata of discipline? Where are those chapters in this text? Can you see it? No? Right? So you can see the other chapters of paramatas in the way of bodhisattva teachings, right? Their patience chapter, their diligence chapter, all that. But where are the generosity and discipline, the paramata chapters? This is how my teachers explained about the 6 paramata chapters in this teaching, Shantandeva's teaching. So the first 2 chapters, the benefit of bodhicitta chapter, confession of negativity chapter, and the last dedication chapter. These 3 chapters are about paramata of generosity, okay? And then the fully adopting bodhicitta chapter and carefulness chapter, that's what Shantandeva call it, and awareness chapter. These 3 chapters are about paramata of discipline, satam in Tibetan, satamji paradishimba, paramata of discipline. So Shantandeva teaches all the 6 paramatas here in this teaching, not missing any paramatas. And top of that, the way Shantandeva teaches these paramatas, very unique and important way. So you have to understand that. Now, what is paramata? It basically means to go beyond a selfish mind. Paramita means, okay? Or to go beyond worldly thinking, only worldly thinking, go beyond only worldly thinking. But in order to get there, we need those methods, right? Skillful means and wisdom. So we need go through and practice all these 6 paramatas. Therefore, the 6 paramatas are given in a particular order, right? First generosity, then discipline, then patience, then diligence, then concentration, the meditation chapter, and then wisdom. So you should know that there are 2 reasons for this order. The first reason is that we begin with easier and more sort of accessible practices. For example, the practice of generosity is a little bit easier than discipline. And practice of discipline is a little bit easier than patience. Practice of patience is a little bit easier than diligence, so on and so forth. That's the first reason, this order. First diligence, discipline, there's order, right? And the second reason is paramita appear, and this order is that there are causes and effect relationship among these paramitas. So therefore, each paramita becomes a sport that gives rise to the next paramita, okay? Because there is a relationship between these 6 paramitas. That is why there is a reason for this order, a cause and effect relationship. So the practice of the bodhisattva are all include within this the 6 paramitas. So you can clearly see bodhicitta and 6 paramitas are the essence of Mahayana practice, the path of the bodhisattva. That's why. That is the general a short explanation of 6 paramitas. We're not going to talk about this argument between the schools and all that kind of things, nonsense things, right? So we need to understand something that we need in order to practice action bodhicitta. That's the general sort of short explanation of the 6 paramitas. Now here I'm going to explain you a little bit about the essence of all these 6 paramitas according to Shantandeva's instruction. So in the 5th paramita, the concentration chapter, right? There's we don't recite the 5th chapter, but that's the meditation, the concentration chapter. Shantandeva summarizes the very essence of these 6 paramitas, the perfections. Paramita means perfection, right? So you can read, and later the 5th chapter he summarized all these 6 paramitas. That's I think I never heard that before from different teachers, but I think he summarized all this essence of paramitas in his 5th chapter. You should also read the 5th chapter. There are some important instructions for aspiration bodhicitta practice. So it's very important. So now the first paramita is generosity. The practice of generosity can be studied through 3 main aspects. Those are given things, given Dharma teachings, and given what they call it, love and protection. So the first is given things means like material generosity, right? Given things, and it is to give what is necessary and to give it without attachment and without expectation. I mean, that's easy. If you have aspiration bodhicitta already in your mind, you give somebody something, they need this, then there is no expectation, something return, or there's no attachment because you give, there's no attachment. So the most important thing about material given is the intention, So your motivation is, again, important when you practice action, the paramita generosity. when you give things, you have to first correct your motivation and then you give. So if you give things with a wrong motivation, such as, making gifts which you hope will harm others, which you intend to bring you fame or respect or whatever, you give with asking for something back and so on, then that is not practice of generosity at all. So the actual amount of giving, whether it is a lot or a little bit, is not the point. The point is your motivation. Then the second is, what you actually give is also important, right? Because bodhisattvas should never give what is harmful. So how you make your gift is also important. The bodhisattvas, whatever they give, only for the benefit of others. And of course, they expecting nothing in return. And they also avoid disrespect for giving, and also avoid hesitant giving. And then third, to whom you give is also important. It means you have to think about what the other person wants or needs. You have to understand this being's situation in order to give, right? It's not always about sort of material thing. Sometimes just being present, available with your love and kindness to one who is having a hard time is also a great gift. So this being may not need sort of any material things, but your presence, your kindness, your time, and so on. That's also practice generosity, giving, a great gift. I think that's important to understand, because in this strange time, lots of people feel lonely and, sad, and they have everything, but still they feel, nobody cares, whatever. So it's just, they don't need any sort of money or material things, but your kindness, your time, your sport, everything like that. So that's also important. And if you give to a person who doesn't need it, then your gift is for the wrong person, So I think that's important to understand. That's why when you practice action bodhicitta, you need skillful means and wisdom, because then you understand exactly, and then your generosity is so meaningful, so powerful, so helpful, right? So helping those who have respect, for Dharma and to understand. That's the first. Now the second is, I'm talking about this. Second practice of, there are three, right? The second practice of generosity is giving Dharma teachings. It means to like this, lead others to spiritual practice by explaining Dharma teachings, and helping those who have, understand, respect the Dharma, and to understand the Dharma. This is how you help others to understand how to practice, and others lead them have a meaningful life, safe, from suffering, from, negative emotions and all that. So that is very, very, very important if you know how to teach. And this is also very important, your motivation. You teach, you have to teach genuinely, not for fame, not for money, not for nothing, just for those people need this kind of spiritual practice, but they don't know what is the instructions and all that. So you just bring them into your great lineage, and then give the transmissions and all these things. So that's the practice generosity. And then the third practice of generosity is giving sanctuary, protection from suffering, right? Protection from suffering and death. This is actual, the third paramita actually means, doing whatever you can to help others who are having difficulties, and protecting them from suffering. For instance, give your loving protection to those in fear of others, in fear of sickness, fear of death, all this. The Buddha taught that all relative good actions, protecting beings' lives is the most beneficial, such as releasing animals from their death, also become a vegetarian is the main practice of generosity, the best, practice of generosity. So we usually say that I'm going to do everything I can to help other beings, not harming others based on my capacity, right? So we make this commitment, and we took these vows, right? So once we have taken this commitment through practice aspiration bodhicitta, if then, without thinking anything about it, we just do things for our own temporary happiness, that is contradicting of our commitment, right? So it is something like become a vegetarian, for example. I've taught this so many times, but it's so easy for us, and especially in this country, there's so many things you can eat and no problem. But people just love to eat meat because of the taste, actually. That's the most thing, and then you just chew the meat and it's kind of delicious, and then it's gone and gone. Then there's nothing, right? But then because of that, so many animals suffer, So that is, we have to think about what we made, what our commitment and what our action, make sure that lots of, there are lots of Buddhist people, not necessarily a vegetarian. It's not, Buddha never say you have to, you become a vegetarian, otherwise you're not Buddhist, or otherwise you can't reach enlightenment. He never said that. But as a Mahayana Buddhist practitioner, then especially if you want to practice action bodhicitta, these things, you have to start with generosity practice. So become a vegetarian is very important gift and a generosity practice. So it's something that we really need to think about very carefully. All right. So it's very clear that if we put ourselves those animals' place, then we don't want that kind of suffering, right? So they don't either. So therefore, I think it makes sense. It may actually nothing has to do with religion, with Buddhism, but just like, everybody wants happiness, So therefore, these are the three. I'm not going to talk too much, otherwise there's no time. So These are the three basic forms of generosity, okay? But the essence of generosity is, Shantideva says that it is simply the attention of giving away everything based on the realization of non-attachment and the realization of the suffering of others. So it is a matter of the mind itself, Shantideva said, okay? So the perfection of generosity doesn't necessarily mean you give everything away that you have, or you make others free from poverty, you know. If the perfection of generosity meant making the world free of poverty, then how is it possible that the Buddha had perfect generosity when the world is still starving, right? Lots of people are poor. They don't have anything. But so that is not the point of the practice of generosity. So we have to understand. So therefore, the essence of the perfection of generosity is about the realization of non-attachment, okay? Pure motivation, okay? It is the real meaning of the perfection of generosity, okay? As you know, generosity is the first of the paramita, and it is the one of the easiest to understand, and everyone can practice. And it is also a foundation for the paramita of discipline, okay, which is second of the six paramita. I'm going to explain that. So, in the perfection of discipline, the paramita, discipline paramita, in Sanskrit, the word for discipline is a shila, right? Shila. It basically means good conduct, which is not harming others, right? And ourselves. Not harming others, not harming ourselves. When we practice this paramita, we begin to abandon negative behavior as we adopt positive actions. So when we are disciplined, we can more easily take care of our own conduct. But again, motivation is the key. If we have a bad motivation to harm someone, then even if our action looks very positive and good looking on the surface, it could have a very harmful effect. So if that is the case, then we need to renew our bodhisattva vows and need to generate bodhicitta. Okay, now again, there are three, I'm going to teach you three types of the paramita of discipline, okay? These include avoiding doing negative actions, engaging in positive actions, and bring benefit to other beings. So first, avoiding negative action is abandoning all the activity of body, speech, and mind, right? That will harm others and that will harm ourselves, right? Body, the action, mental action, verbal action, these three. That's the first. And then second, always do whatever positive actions we can, no matter how small or insignificant they may seem. And then third, discipline, bringing benefit to other beings is actually completed when we are avoiding negative actions and we're doing positive actions. So always we need to check our intentions for our actions with a good sort of mindfulness and care. Discipline comes when we observe our thinking, observe our action. That is meditation. That is absolutely necessary in our daily life, right? So when we let our body, speech, and mind get involved with the negative actions, then we are accumulating negative karma by our actions. So pay attention to every action of our body, speech, and mind is the great meditation of discipline. So discipline is constantly watching, a sense of awareness of our own reactions, right? When we speak, when we do things, when we think in our mind, we have to observe. We need this kind of mindfulness, awareness, you know? And this sort of constant watching of our own reaction brings great discipline. And that discipline can reduce negative thoughts, right? Negative words, negative conduct, negative motivation. So therefore, discipline is also necessary in our daily lives. And again, the essence of discipline is the mind, right? Is the mind. Shandandya was said, the essence of the perfection of discipline is that one should no longer harm any sentient beings. It is attainment of abandoning non-virtues and negative actions. Okay, that's the summary. So when the mind is, you know, the, what do you call it? Through the practice of the discipline, the paramita, when the mind of renunciation is obtained, that is the real meaning of practice, the perfection of Shila, the discipline. And discipline is also the foundation of the third paramita, which is the patience, right? Patience. I will talk about patient generous, the paramita, and next sections. Now I think we're going to recite the rituals and the first chapter of the way of Bodhisattva, and then take a break and then talk about patience in the next section.